Essentially, the book takes the case of area studies and uses it as a tool to understand how universities produce knowledge about the rest of the world outside of the U.S.'s borders.
Virtually every university in the United States now touts its global ambitions, and it seeks clients and patrons from all over the world. But however, paradoxically, the social sciences themselves are organized to systematically encourage inquiry on U.S. national problems and discourage inquiry on problems and phenomena outside U.S. borders. So that even while universities themselves are increasingly globally cosmopolitan, economics, political science, and sociology in North America are still very focused on North American, specifically U.S. problems.
One of the most important points that I take from the book in terms of why this matters has to do with how the social sciences continue to not only encourage faculty and departments in general to focus on more parochial areas of inquiry, but also train future graduate students to do so as well. I mean, I think we're seeing a replication of a kind of parochial, domestic, inward-turning focus rather than allowing scholars to celebrate and develop and claim expertise about the rest of the world in ways that would bring empirical knowledge out into the public sector.
Sort of with the 21st century, the way in which resources, and especially federal resources, were being channeled to different types of knowledge, that a lessening of interest in Russia and Eurasia, for example, which now, by hindsight, looks extremely, short-sighted, where the need for Russia expertise is clearly needed today, but 10 years ago was seen as less needed.
If academic social scientists don't produce and promulgate expertise on global problems, others will. And we rely on some of our colleagues who study the evolution of social media and the public sphere to suggest that that's precisely what happened to authoritative knowledge on the Middle East and the larger Islamic world in the wake of 9/11. When news media and public pundits of every description were seeking authoritative information about the events of the first decade of the 21st century, and they were looking for experts on the Middle East, they found very few of those authoritative voices in the academic world.
I want to take a slightly different approach to why the issues that we discuss in this book matter. And I want to start by first saying that this book is one of a series of products that came out of a long-term project that really started in 1999, before also the events of 9/11, although the project was then very much shaped by the aftermath of 9/11 and the way in which academic knowledge about the Middle East and the Muslim world was attacked as not being in sort of popular opinion and in the press and so on as not being useful knowledge. And so we heard over and over again in our interviews of people at universities being torn between trying to argue the relevance of the knowledge that they were producing and between sort of saying we don't have to be relevant all the time, we don't have to be useful all the time, because what's useful at a certain moment in time may not be useful at another moment, and something that you think is not useful will prove to be very useful. And we saw in the fact that universities is where curiosity-driven research carries the day, or used to carry the day, and then produced extremely useful knowledge when the time came. And the world we live in today sort of rewards immediate relevance, immediate impact, immediate importance. And to me, this is just very short-sighted.